Hi, my name is Adam Rice. I am not a YouTube personality. That is not my goal. What I am is an artist whose life vision is to tell a story through art with the collaboration of others that has a chance, an opportunity of affecting great change. To fulfill this desire, I have gone to school for art. I have read many books, and I have watched my fair share of YouTube tutorials and instructional videos. But at the end of it all, what I have found is there are no tricks. There is only hard work. What we're going to begin to do today is start building your framework on which to construct your ideas. And today, that lesson is going to take the shape of a sphere. You're going to learn about core shadows. You're going to learn about bounce light. You're going to learn about direct light. You're going to learn about cast shadows. What I want you to do as I move through this lesson is move along with me. Take out a piece of paper, open up Photoshop, grab some canvas, or grab some charcoal, and move along with me. I want you to isolate 3 tones. So you will have your midtone, which is going to be about the background. And in Photoshop, I created a new layer to do this. Maybe a little bit lighter. So this is going to be your midtone. And if we were using color, this midtone is where much of the local color would be. So we have our midtone. Next, what I want you to do is mix a lighter one. This will be where the sphere is exposed to a direct light. So we have our light. And next, what I want you to do is mix a darker tone, where your shadow will be. We're going to go even darker than that. Okay? We're going to use these 3 tones to create an object that's 3D. You only really need 3 tones. Okay. So what I'm going to start with is just creating a sphere with this mid value. It's going to help me figure out where the location is, the size, and the proportions. When I'm blocking things out, I usually start with a dark value and then move to light. But since we're doing just a sphere, I'm going to start by just trying to move into this more circular form. And I know it might be tempting on Photoshop just to pull out the shape tool and make a circle, but I really don't recommend doing that, because you're going to lose part of your personality when you start letting Photoshop do things for you. So just go ahead and make this sphere yourself. If it's perfect, not perfect, that's okay. What we're really trying to do is just make this object 3D, and if at the end of the day you can just make whatever is on your page 3D, that is what matters. Okay. Well, I want to make it a bit bigger. You know, it's interesting. I went to school for art, and I never learned how to do this. These traditional practices, and that's what we're working on today, they're not really taught as well anymore. When I was where you are, really just trying to learn how to draw and paint, I didn't know the basics. I didn't know what a core shadow was. I didn't know what a local color was. I didn't know what bounce light was. Sometimes I'd do it just because professors had told me not to do and do certain things, but they never really told me why. And a good teacher will always tell you why. So what we're going to do here is just show you where the light is coming from. And in our picture today, we're just going to have the light coming from this corner. All right. Now what I want to do is put in this core shadow. and we're just blocking in everything at this point. And the core shadow is the darkest part of the sphere, or it will be. And how you can begin to kind of figure out where a core shadow is where the bounce light and the direct light are interacting with the shadow. Now, when many people show you the core shadow, they'll say it's this strip right here. It's kind of, but it's also kind of not. And I'm kind of exaggerating the tones here just so I can show you exactly what I'm going for. You can see here how I am not pulling this shadow all the way to the bottom of the sphere, and that's because you're going to have a certain amount of bounce light that's coming off the table onto this sphere. And that's what creates the core shadow. If there is no bounce light, there is no core shadow. When you're doing faces, you'll really begin to recognize there's a ton of bounce light that's coming off the other features of the face. Okay. And this is going to be pulled up even a little bit more. Okay, so we have our kind of darks. Next, what I want to do is, and we're still in a blockout phase, so it's really important when you're painting and you're drawing, in particular with painting, that you don't get too tight. You can always go back and fix things, but it's the more well rendered your piece is. So go from loose and then tighten the screws slowly and work the piece as a whole. So you notice that I didn't start to blend this all up because I don't have all of the elements in it. And I don't want to make this shadow too big today. You can really play with it and create different illusions, but I don't really want to. I'm really going to fade this shadow out, and I think what I'll actually do is take some of this mid-tone and start to pull this shadow out a little bit. Now you can see what I'm doing. Sometimes it's tempting just to make the whole shadow the darkest dark, and that's not usually the case. And I mean, although the shadow should always be darker than the mid-tone, I'm just kind of using this mid-tone to block out what's going to happen here. So you notice how I just took some of this shadow color and I'm making just this shadow a little bit darker. And even though I do a lot of more conceptual work and illustration and things of that nature right now, I'm still always going back and doing things like this because it's that important. And I really want to minimize this shadow. And I do a lot of this on feel. There's no real math to it. When it starts to feel right, meaning it starts to look kind of the way I want it to, I move on to the next blockout phase. So I feel pretty good about that. Okay. And next what I'm going to do is just go ahead and put in some of this lighter light. And so if the light's coming right here, we're going to get some more direct light right in here. See how that's beginning to work? It's beginning to create this illusion. Now I'm going to go back in with this midtone and begin to flesh out the shape of this sphere a little bit more. Now where it really turns into the shadow side, this line here is called the terminator. So we're going to kind of just begin to create that terminating line. And then we're going to take this middle value back up into the... And I want to move... There's going to be some bounce light right here, right down here. So we're going to go ahead and mark that with just a block that in with this value here. And there won't be much here. There'll be a little bit, so we'll pull it up a little bit. You have pressure sensitivity, any traditional medium. You can kind of begin to see how this is working. Now what I want to do is take in this medium value that's kind of disappeared here. We're going to we're going to move the terminator down just a little bit. Terminating line down just a little bit. And just watch what I'm doing. I'm going back and forth and working different parts of this here. And I'm just going to work kind of this mid value into that. I know a lot of people who want to just kind of jump into color. And it's really important that before you jump into color, you understand value. Because once you introduce color, you're dealing with a bunch of other things like chroma. We have the sphere pretty much blocked out. So I'm going to speed up the film, but I'll see you on the other side.